I'm glad you're here today. And let's get started. Let's get into some questions. I'm going to bring my questions up because I am a fly on the wall and I love to ask questions and get to know more about people and what they do and how they do it. And I think it helps when we're running a business that people that work with you or they want to partner with you or collaborate with you, if they know just those extra little finite details, we work so much better together and there's no guessing. So this is what we're going to do. Let's get into it. Here we go. All right. So we'll bring up, so Holly, let me bring you up here. Spotlight. I have a question for you, and I love it, and I love that you're here. For you, when you came into stepping into the grace, of an entrepreneur, you have to give yourself a lot of grace. You're the boss, you're the employee to start, and you make that decision. What standard did you have to raise for yourself personally that immediately changed all the results in your business and gave you the ability to move forward and succeed?
Great question, Nicole. I think when we're entrepreneurs, you have to realize you're going to have to put in the time and make sure that you're reaching out and not doing things by yourself. Get a coach, partner with other businesses that you can refer. I joined a lot of networking groups, my chamber, some more in person. I joined a national leads group, and it was like it was about showing up, it was about structure of making sure you get your work done, but making sure you're doing those one-on-ones, because if you insulate, you're not gonna get your word out and your business is not gonna keep on moving. I've had a different coaches from the very beginning, and they've all taken me to the next level. I'm one of the amazing ones right now. And it's about not doing it yourself. And as entrepreneurs, we try to do so many different things. We're juggling a million different things. And let some people have those balls, partner with people, see if you can work together. And you have to just step out and have a totally new frame of mind.
You do, and that's it. You didn't do it yourself. And that's that success of I wouldn't have known if I didn't have such a great group of speakers and then an audience member coming in today to say, hey, this wasn't working today. And being able to listen to that and have a group of people that had my back and are comfortable to say, hey, how can we fix this? What's the solution we can provide to move forward? And that's a great thing and gives such a strength to step into that.
Give yourself grace, but fail. Just get out there and don't live in that you have to do it perfect, because every experience is a learning experience. And I think that holds people back because they're trying to be so perfect.
I think that makes it us more human and more creative and more
Mhm,
fun. And that's what's going to help us stand out side by side by AI to be
mhm.
human and to show up and to be here and to be ourselves. And thank you for that. Yes, definitely to give the grace to ourselves. Dr. Jeff, I'm going to bring you on. I'm so glad you're here. We have been on a few stages together.
We
And
have.
yeah, and it's a great conversation with you. You show up, you're professional. And again, another person here today in support of one another. You know what it takes to be an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, and to level up. And if we really want to live our passionate purpose and be a true abundant being and level up the people around us, we've done get some great people surround us, our five closest friends, and to be the epitome of that. And so, Jeff, what did you stop tolerating? And I know this is such a great, I feel like this is so your question because there's so much that you have overcome and shared and open up. What did you stop tolerating that unlocked your next level? Because you went through a real great level up last year. It just in your marketing and your in your social media that just truly changed.
I would say that the one aspect that really helped me level up was to and I don't want to say this in a negative way, but not care what people say about my posts, about what I'm doing. And you can't please everybody. You find the people that you can please, that there are going to be people out there that will resonate with your message, with your meaning, with your mission. And when I got started, I approached it really in a very unhealthy way. And over through Brand Face and with Mike and with you, it's those stepping stones that get you to the next level. And during those stepping stones and going from step to step, you really evaluate what's working, what's not working, what can I change? And that's what I've been doing, I would say, in the last 3 to 4 months with regards to my 2026 vision and realizing that, and I've heard it, but the thing is, it's better. It's harder to move forward with that, even though you keep hearing it. You can't please everybody. And at one point it was like, oh, everybody will love this. Everybody will want this. Everybody, but no, that's not the fact. And having platforms like this, Nicole, sharing the stage with these amazing entrepreneurs, you learn nuggets from each of them. And it's, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. And how can I make that small change or make a huge change with regards to what they're doing? And how can I maybe incorporate that into what I'm doing? So the biggest thing was you can't please everybody. Stick to your message, and people that are looking for that message will reach out.
They will. Kudos to you for stepping into that. And it's to be able to see that in someone and to see the change. And it was like, wait, what is going on here? This is so
Mm.
cool. And you didn't talk about it. You just did it. You just went and
Right.
it showed up, and the vibration and the energy change, the magnificent difference to just say that. And it could have been a little bit of fine tuning, but it was just so great to be able to see that in someone and say, man, I love this. That means that people around me are leveling up. And it's good. It's great to support people. And it's actually a fantastic book. The Simple Art. I'm going to say something. So if you want to close your ears, it's The Simple Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's a great book.
Hey,
It's
no, that's
fantastic.
absolutely true.
It helps you really. It's a very punk rock attitude. I grew up with it, but it's a pivot in a different way. Those little things that
Yeah.
we can't change. Those
Yeah.
people that are feeding off of those vampire suckers.
No, absolutely. And this event here is bringing a whole completely different side of me, because I'm not doing my typical presentation. I'm doing something completely different, but tying it into that CEO mentality mindset and looking at it from a much broader perspective, bigger picture, rather than honing in on what I have been doing. We'll see. It's all about, again, go to the next step and what can I do a little bit different that will resonate with people and see the vision that is out there for that many already see. You're on mute, Nicole.
Everything's working today. Hey, are we in Mercury retrograde? I'm just saying, hello. Did I miss that somewhere? But hey, here we go. Whatever it is, but it's the fact that you leveled up, the fact that you said yes to you. And that's another thing. You're the boss. You're the boss of you, a great employee. I would say give yourself an extra added bonus. Give a bonus. Give a bonus to yourself. You did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to bring Colleen up here, and Colleen, let me get the next question out. So
Can I just touch on what Jeffrey said?
yeah,
I just think that it's not, I think Dr. Jeffrey can agree with me. It's not that you don't care what other people think. It's that as the CEO, you understand the value in caring what you think more. You level up for you, and
There you go.
people fall in line behind you. In the brick and mortar world, I had to look at the demographics. I had to say, is there a need for my solution in this community? Because there are 1,200 people. There are 700 people in my community, whatever that looked like. Online, there are billions. And
Right.
when you put yourself first, and not in a greedy me way, But when you put yourself in a position where you're building something that fits your lifestyle, fits your business desires, provides a solution, and you put that out there in a way that really resonates with you, your content, when you open your mouth, it falls out correctly. The way that you dress is exactly perfect. You don't need to fit a mold. The people who love you come fall in line. And the rest of them, it's okay. Please unsubscribe. That's why we have that feature.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, that's really a good follow-up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very humbled.
Yeah, absolutely. There's billions of people out there. And if you feel that you're like, oh my gosh, I've got all this competition, there's millions of people doing my thing. But again, there's so many people on this earth that we can reach out to. And that's how we do it, by having a conversation and engaging here and saying, hey, you know what? Great job. I noticed you. You're amazing. And that's perfect time for this question, because it's about leadership. What belief about leadership was costing you the most, Colleen?
Oh gosh, this is good. Let's dive into this one because I just had this again today. I had somebody that I had hired for my team reach out to me and say, can you come train on this? And I said, no, I hired you and you had those skills. And that's not my job. And so leveling yourself up includes not taking time to play backwards. Quit playing backwards. Level up, let people do their job. And if they're not, there's somebody else that will do it. Surround yourself with the people that will really shine. But I had to quit being like, yes, let me show you again for the 13th time how to do it. How much time do we waste as CEOs going backwards and playing backwards? Once you have created that leadership skill and developed the fact that you can create SOPs, standard operating procedures, you can put them in a PDF. You can very easily, using AI, put them in a video, all of the things. So they're there, and that is no longer your responsibility. And I've had to say to other people that were working with me, you know what? This is your job. How you get to this endpoint, I don't care. Check back with me when you're at the endpoint. Not my job to sit in a meeting and micromanage you. That's your job. You go micromanage yourself over there. Let me know when you're done.
100%. And what I will say is there's no longer healthy competition within your department because there's nobody anymore. If you're working online, there's parts and pieces of you we don't see day to day from 9 to 5 anymore. There's no one to level up. Hey, I want to raise up. I want to be the manager. I want to be this. How can I do that? It's really like we need that healthy competition. And we do need people to say, you know what? That was not the role that I hired you for, or this is what I hired you for. You bring it to the table. This was part of me signing you on and saying, hey, this isn't going to work for me. It's okay. And that brings back healthy competition. And people think that, oh, we can hide things because it's online.
Well, and I
People
think
don't know.
I think this circles back to what Jeffrey said. It's not even that I don't care. It's that it's not my job to take care of you. I raised my children. That's it. You raise yourself to this level, right? This is my level of expectation. I am leveling up. I'm succeeding. You want to come? Get on the train. Let's go. You don't? That's fine. Stay back there. I will fill that spot with someone else. And you keep going. But when we stop and we go back and we're always backpedaling and always say, oh, yes, I like you as a person. Let me help you. This isn't about, I'm sorry. I'm not here because I like people. I'm here because I like to win. I'm building a business because I want to win with it.
Perfect. Yes. Win-win. Holly has a question. She has her hand up. I'll bring you up. Go ahead.
Not really a question, but just to add on with that, one of the biggest things I learned for someone I worked with years ago, she was brilliant where she would hire the right people and she would let us do our job. She didn't micromanage, but she hired the right people. And she had a publishing company. She was very high up in politics. She had her whole life that she was running, and hiring the right people. We knew that she didn't micromanage us, because when you're micromanaged, it makes a hostile environment, I think. And it's
Yes.
about supporting your staff. And I have had multiple staffs and do now, and I want to support them. But I'm hiring them because I trust them to do what I'm doing and help me go to the next level.
That's a sign of a good leadership to delegate to people's strengths and hire those who have their
Exactly.
strength. And go ahead, Polly.
Yeah. And so I was just going to throw in here that when, for instance, when I owned Chicken Lips, which was my boutique, let me let this person, I would hire a team member and then I would let them work all the things, do all the things, whether they were creating shirts, whether they were packaging and shipping, doing inventory, whether they were the person that greeted people, whether they had the eye for the fit, whatever that was. I would hire people and let them come in and work all the way around and all the things. After 2 weeks of working with them, I would go back and say, okay, where were you most comfortable? What did you love the most? And I already knew because I saw them shine. And that became their job. I had, for instance, a store manager who came in every Wednesday and worked 12 hours doing paperwork. I never saw her. She was the store manager. I never saw her. And the thing is that what did I do with paper? An invoice came in, I put it in a box. A bill came in, I put it in a box. A complaint came in, I put it in a box. I did nothing with it. She did all of that and it was all organized to a T, but that's the area she shined in. And by doing that, another employee, Jamie, she loved to add bling to shirts, rhinestones and a glitter and things of that nature. And she was really good at it. And so I allowed her to set up her own system, her own intake form, her own intake system where people would bring things and she would take care of it and get it back out to them. If somebody client came in and she wasn't there and they said to me, oh, what do I do with? I'm like, here's her stuff, fill it out, leave it for her. I don't do it. She does it and let her shine. What that did for me was made me known in the area as the store with the best blinged shirts. It
Yeah.
didn't make me look less because I wasn't managing her or overseeing everything. I put somebody that was really good at what they did up on a pedestal and let them do it and made me look really good. And that's a huge part of being the CEO is finding those people. So if I hire you to create emails, I'm not hiring you to create websites.
No,
Do the emails, do that and do it really well.
that's exactly what you want to do. And I do want to say, Stephanie, we're glad you're here. I hope you didn't have any problem coming in today. We did have there was an issue with the speaker links. I will take full accountability of my robots, but hey, so I'm glad you're here. And Peg, yeah, I sent you something in a private chat. That's a link for you. It's a gift for you for coming in today. So thank you so much. And we will go on. Just a quick interjection. Go ahead, Holly, and then we're going to move
Yeah, just
into the next question.
just because we're talking about that whole staff and hiring the right people, I think another thing is we need to train them of what our expectations are. Because it's great hiring the right people, but if they don't know what we expect, they're going to fail because they're just out there. Yes, they're doing what we hired them to do, but if they're not doing it, those systems, those expectations, I think that it is so important. So I love what Colleen said and just like
True.
in the next
Absolutely.
level.
There's a lot to it, but you want a good group. And if you don't have a good group that's going to come through and do the job that you set them up for, then you can't run your business and worry about that. It's like that 4th grade, 5th grade split level. I don't know if you guys were ever in that in elementary school, but if I was the 5th grader and the 4th grader and I was going to level up to the 5th grade, they actually started bringing it down. So we don't want everybody to start to bring us down. We want to raise people up and we truly want to bring abundant beings and leaders. So go ahead. You have any last words, Colleen? Then we'll go to Lorraine. I got a question for her.
Yes, I'd love to hear from Lorraine too. But as the simplification strategist, I'm going to say that training is important. And while it's important, what's more important is to have systems in place that do that, right? Because time's super expensive and systems are cheap compared to your time, right? So implement those SOPs. Use your Loom videos. And all it takes is you doing the process once and creating a video of it and making that video available to your teammates. And probably if they can't get it from watching that and from reviewing your content, all the things inside your business and your SOPs, then they're probably going to slow you down on your rise. And so simplify your way of training them. I don't go back and backpedal and retrain people. I actually have people come to me sometimes. They're like, did you want to check my work? And I'm like, nope. When I get to the final end, if it's not right, I'll let you know. But that's on you. I've given you the SOP. I've created Loom videos for you. You are welcome to run around inside my world and see everything you want to see. Look at my clients, see how they do things, see how you can best fit their needs. But no, I'm not checking your work. And that's a hard stop for me because how many hours can you spend training and checking work and micromanaging? And it's just a no. So make sure that you're super smart and keep it simple in your training.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does take a bit for a good leader to say, hey, you know what? I know you got this. I know you can do your job and I know you've done well. So
And Holly,
those
I
really
know Holly can probably vouch for the fact that if you do that one time, then you're not training Jim and Ann and Katie. And you just have those things in place and you're like, here, go to the training.
Yep.
yeah,
And and setting those expectations
Yes.
was okay, you're gonna have to stay here. I'm giving you the training. Do it.
absolutely set the expectations, but knowing that these people can have it and they can do the job and know that you've trained them and you've given them everything that they need. Absolutely great discussion. Leadership is such a good discussion to have for people to say, hey, there's things I didn't look at before. There's this new level, there's this structure of what's going on and how to have a good team. And so Lorraine, what decision felt maybe a little bit terrifying, but changed everything for you to step into the role of leadership in business? And you were so glad you did.
So the decision that was terrifying was actually twofold. One of them was walking away from the security of a position. And the second one was actually starting a business, not really knowing exactly what that was going to entail. But the freedom of making those decisions and stepping into it and having the courage to surround myself with the people that could help me work through what are those decisions that have to be made? What are the systems that I need? Who do I need in my corner? And I also want to go back to some of the things that have been talked about because what I learned is as I grew, I had people who were willing to grow with me,
Mhm.
and there were people who chose not to. And as a result of that, really fell away because uh, when I became more focused, I wasn't going to, I didn't have the time to try to bring them along. And some of those relationships were very close. One of them was my husband. And ultimately, he's the one who made the decision. But it really was a really challenging time because I was in this transition of going from a W 2 employee in healthcare for 40 years to being an entrepreneur and trying to navigate the challenges and the newness that comes with that, and not knowing what I didn't know and how do I get there. And then to start having some of those support systems fall away was also alarming initially, but I also then began to understand necessary.
Truly necessary. Absolutely. So I'm going to keep you here because I got a follow up question to that I was just thinking when you're doing that, because it's terrifying, but you stepped into that, you leveled up. And it was like, yeah, here I am. I'm so glad what a great moment to step into that. I hope we celebrated doing that too. But what was the fastest way that maybe you see people or other people that you work with, or maybe perhaps a decision that you made maybe felt like a sabotage moment instead of stepping into that leadership role?
I think that oftentimes it's the second guessing. Again, having come from the world of healthcare, that's where I was comfortable. And for a while, it was like, I wanted to work with healthcare people because it was comfortable. And what I had to really realize was no, I was being called to change my network and had to figure out how to do that. And I think that's oftentimes when it gets hard, if I'm transitioning from having been an employee or a part of a business where I've been a leader in a business and I'm moving into entrepreneurship, they're two very different animals. And when it gets hard, it's really easy to want to go back. It's almost like the Israelites when they faced the Red Sea and they looked back and said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt?" It's that same question. Oh my goodness, what in the world am I doing here? Maybe I need to go back. And what's crazy is I tried to knock on those doors, but those doors were very closed, which only reaffirmed ultimately that I was living out what I was supposed to do in the second act of my life.
Absolutely. The great confirmation for that. It's really just this moment. And sometimes as leaders, it used to be called that A personality, right? Or we used to call people, oh, you're anal, or you're just too much, or you're just too focused and on one thing. But it's that strive of success. It's a win. It's competition. It's healthy competition. It's good competition. It strengthens us and it strengthens the people around us when we choose to step into those moments and say, man, I want to do this. And people follow you. You're like, whoa, I made this big step. Look at Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins was like, yeah, I'm on a stage. I'm going. You ready? You're ready to walk through that fire? Let's go. And people followed it. And they were so jazzed in the moment. You could say, oh, it was this energy and that vibration and this word and that. The point was they were going to follow that man. They would have followed him into a bath of ice, right? Into a cold lake in Alaska and just jumped right in if he did it because you're so jazzed. I did it with seal crawling. I got on the sand, let's see, 4 o'clock in the morning, cold beach, maybe 50 degrees. Okay. It's cold. And we crawled on the cold, wet sand, rain into the water. Why? Not just because there were some hot guys going in there from the police academy. I'll tell you, that was an incentive, but there were some go-getters in there. And there's people that I knew that were better than me. They had what I wanted. And I said, hey, I want to level up. I want to be that person. And you just go. And man, was it cold, and we sure ran inside quick. You couldn't get to your car any faster. But it was the fact that you see people doing that. And it's not just following the culture of the tribe, but it's that somebody is gung ho and they're so excited with something, but you know that you're going to get so much more out of it. And you're going to have the respect of your peers and you're going to have the respect of your leaders. And that is just amazing. Did you have some more that you wanted to share on that?
Well,
Wendy?
and I think that you made a comment about celebration. And the fact, what I like to say is success looks different to everyone. And along the journey, we have to celebrate the small wins because they don't always come in big packages. It's that perseverance, it's continuing no matter what. And even when it feels like the wall is right there, it's continuing because somehow that wall is going to break down.
Yeah. Oh, and Jeff, yeah, that's so true. You want to celebrate that because it brings more. You celebrate more. You get to celebrate bigger. Jeff walked through those coals. Did you burn your feet? I always wanted to ask somebody, did you burn your feet?
No, I didn't, which I was shocked. I was totally shocked, be honest with you. It was warm, but it's all mindset.
It is.
Now, obviously, if you're going
mindset.
to go walk in and stop in the middle, you're going to burn your feet. But
Yeah.
you just, the mindset and walk and you get through it.
You know what? It's the mindset. Because I'll tell you, when I crawled on that beach, I didn't feel anything. I felt it when I was running to my car. And it was like, I woke up and I was like, okay, now I'm out of the water because you're going like, who's going to be the first? Me, duh. And you get into that. And so it's just, let's go, let's do this. And you don't feel it. It doesn't hurt. It's not cold. You can do the thing. We have this mindset and it's powerful. When you're with the right group of people, nobody's hesitating. Oh, don't pick me. Don't pick me on the dodgeball team. Don't want to be on your side. I'll be on that one over there. Don't pick me. Don't pick me. And you get real small and you're like, oh, and people and remember that in elementary school, you start getting back in the back of the line. You're like, oh, don't see me. Don't see me. And I was the only one that had blonde hair. So I couldn't. And I'd be giggling the whole time. You didn't pick me, man. But I gave myself away, much like I do today. But it's different, yeah. And Holly, did you just said look up to the peace monks, yeah, who are
So,
walking.
so yeah, the vulnerable, can't say their name, monks are walking from Texas to DC. And I think there's 15 of them. And a lot of them started out bare feet and through tons of heat. And this week they wore boots, which I was very grateful. I got to see them when they came through Greensboro, but it's all about mindset, and they're teaching that mindset and just going forward. They're not stopping. They're not letting things stop them. And I think that as CEOs, we have to remember that. So
You're on mute, Nicole.
I don't know
I was
what's
going to tell
going
you,
on
but I
with
too
my
was.
mic. I don't know what's going on with my mic. Hey, whatever. Here we are. But this is a great discussion with what's going on just in those sabotaging moments. If we don't take that and looking back at, oh my gosh, I didn't have all these successes today. I didn't check all these boxes. What were your non-negotiables? Did you get those at least done and reward yourself for that? And then move to that next step. And this way, when we're doing this, there's that. So it's really, and I want to bring you up for this one, Jeff, is for this. What's the system? What's the thing? Was it celebrating the small wins on there, or would save you from burnout? What saves you? What's the system?
Mm,
Even if it's a ritual of what you do daily to save you from burnout.
that's a really good question, Nicole. And I burnt out multiple times. I burnt out in corporate America in 2015. I was out for 6 months, and then walking back into corporate America to go back to work, I said, I can't do this. And that's when I left. And then I burnt out in 2018 with my health because I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. And I chose a holistic approach, which got me off of 6 medications and have been pharmaceutical free since August of 2018. And I'm getting to the point here because this is a constant, it has to be a constant habit. And sometimes we fall out of those habits. And then 2023, another situation came up. And then I'm going through another situation now. And we need to be the CEOs of our own self, which means be the CEO of your health, of your finances, of your personal life, of your business life. And I found that in the last 2 years, I was really focused on certain aspects of my business and I took it too far. And so now I'm dealing with that and having to understand that we've got toxic metals in our bodies. And I'm going through a full body detox right now, and it's killing me because we have so much going on. But it's really trying to, and I'm going to be talking about this in my presentation tomorrow. It's about integration. It's not we have a tendency to silo everything in our personal life and silo everything in our business life, but it's about integrating them so they all are married together, so they work synergistically together. Because I was doing health, doing business, doing family, doing this, doing that. But what are the aspects of bringing it all together so they work beautifully together? And that's another stepping stone for me this year, since last year into 2026, is how am I going to be integrating that? Because we get burnt out focusing on different things, and then you just go wild up here and it stresses you out. And that's what I'm going through right now, to be 100% transparent. But we all go through those challenges and we learn from them, which is what has been the beauty of it. And we take it to the next level, because what you've learned, you can always learn more. Hopefully that answered that question.
Well, you did, and thanks for being vulnerable and sharing that. But the other thing, the other side of that is that not to forget that if we do hit burnout, what do you do? Are you noticing what's going on, or are you still trying to push through it? Because that's your body telling you rest. That's your body
Rest.
telling you
Yeah.
change. Because because it does affect your business, your mind, body, and soul have everything to do
Right.
with the
Right.
effect on your business. And if you're not a leader on the soul led level, how are you a leader in your business?
Exactly.
You have to have both of that. And hey, if I'm going to go through a diet or I'm going to go through a change or go through a cleanse, and it could be, whoops, hit me at the wrong time, or it's way overdone. Maybe, the cleanse isn't for you. Maybe they or be a little harsher. You weren't sure that how it was going to take effect. So looking
Right.
at that as that goes on, and what do you have in place? What are the systems? What do you have in place to keep letting your business work? How does your business keep functioning if you haven't put that in place? Maybe people can click a link. Maybe you had before you go do something different and do a change because it is a drastic change. Even if you're watching it and taking care of yourself and being gentle on yourself, you want to have some emails ready to go. You want to have some social media ready to go. You want to have somebody that maybe can help you with the emails or outreach or a certain reply like, hey,
Right.
I'm out of office. They don't need to know what exactly you're out of office for. I'm out of office for a couple of days. I'll reply in the next 24 hours. So giving yourself some grace and setting those structures up to say, hey, and letting somebody watch out for that. Hey, is somebody else watching the comments on your social media or something? It could be something that is that
Sure.
simple on the smallest thing, but also giving yourself an extra day or so and definite recovery time. That's huge.
Yeah, it is important. And as I'm learning, and I think many of us go through this, is that we try to establish habits and sometimes we skip them. Oh, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll take my supplement tomorrow, or I'll do my walk tomorrow. No, you need to get those in today. And you talk about what can you do different in your business. And I love Colleen's going to talk about this with her strategy and go high level and automation. And that's what this new era is. It's all about automation and what can I do to simplify my personal life and my business life. And that's why I think this is a great platform for the CEO Hacker for everybody to share what they've been going through and what they've got to offer your audience. So very excited.
Absolutely. What can you offer the audience and how are you hacking those tips and tricks? Because and we're talking about things to think about, like how can I streamline that? How do I change? How do I pivot so I can get that's no longer important in my life? Put those files in a box and move on. Note to self, hey, don't necessarily forget, but forgive. Keep it there so you don't mess that up at the second time. And it's just things that we can fine tune for our strengths. And so, Colleen, I think this one's for you. What's the difference? Let me bring you up here between being busy and being effective. I know you and I have had this conversation. Busy being busier, are you actually getting the job done? And I think that has a lot to do with training what you were talking about in sense outsource freelancers, people you hire that weren't doing the job. If you stepped into that and started retraining them, and that's not for you to do, they're
No.
supposed to come with a nice package with a bow on it and give extra value because that's what we do as leaders and business owners. We want to give extra added value instead of sucking the life out of you. But you could have totally like just been so busy, you can't get to your clients and service them, and it's no longer effective.
And the difference is being busy or being productive. I think you touched on it when you said, what are your non-negotiables? Did you get those done? And how important are they really to you? So just a question, food for thought here. How many of you used an alarm clock to wake up this morning? How many of you had your ambition wake you up? There's a difference. There's really a difference. When you are that excited about your business, when you are that madly passionate about what you do, that you can't wait to get out of bed, it's it's like totally in your subconscious. Okay, get up. It's a new day. We can do this. And you get up and do that. The first thing I do is my non-negotiables and the things that I know don't fit in somewhere else. So the meditation, the self-care, right? The workout, the tanning, the bathing, the get ready for the day kind of thing. Get all of those. I have to have my bed made, all these things. And everybody's look different, but get those done and out of the way. And then when you come into your business, do the same thing. Get your non-negotiables out of the way. get them done so you can handle other things. But the goal should always be to be productive. And it takes training. I'm sure Holly and Jeffrey and Lorraine and you too, Nicole, can all just say that, can agree that you've had to train yourself. Okay, this is busy work. Nope, we're not doing that. If you feel like you have to do busy work, then set aside a couple hours at the end of the week or the end of the month to do busy work. But otherwise, do things that are productive, that move the needle. And a whole lot of that is putting your systems in place. When I work with a client, I set up everything for them. Their funnels, their lead magnets, their automations, their calendars, their integrations, everything is done for them so that they can literally just open their back office and see if they have any messages they need to respond to, see where they need to be on their calendar and get to those places and then shine as the voice and face of their business. And then if perchance, let's say that Jeffrey's doing a masterclass and he is changing it next month, it's going to be a different masterclass. Along the way, I've created SOPs for my clients, standard operating procedures for my clients, so they can look at this little video and see how to clone what I've already done and edit it in 20 minutes and be down the road. Because nobody needs to be sitting here looking lost and just meandering through what they need to do when there's a simplified, strategic way to do things. And so my job is to provide that simplification for my clients so they can really just show up and shine. So they're not doing busy work. So they're actually being productive if they are in their back office at all. They're being productive and getting things done.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to touch on too, we need to make sure when we're talking about success that I think so many of us come online, and I'm guilty of this, come online and we see what somebody deems as successful. We're like, oh yeah, I want to be successful too. But do you really want to be that kind of successful? Is that actually what fits for you in your lifestyle? Is that actually truly what you want? It may be something that's nice. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a group with 150,000 people in it. But is it really the kind of nice that you're looking for? Is that the kind that makes your soul scream? That's not, it has to align with your life and what you want. And sometimes opportunities come along to you that make success available to you on a much bigger scale that actually brings you true joy. And remember that we are here to have joy. It's got to be when you make these decisions that you're considering your life first and then your business. And how does this fit in there? And this is one of the reasons why I only take 3 clients a month. I could take 10. Why though? Why? It's not going to get me any further ahead. It's not going to improve my customer service. It's not going to give me that personal relationship with
her headache, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just more when that's not actually my idea of success. My idea of success is being able to go out with my sheep and take videos of the new lambs and play with my dog and play with my grandkids and do the things I want to do outside, not sitting at a desk. But maybe somebody else is sitting at a desk, and so that's fine. But really just tailoring and crafting our own idea of success before we start driving towards it. Let's make sure it is actually what we want.
But is that success, even measuring success, if you're measuring other people's success and then relating it into and translating it to your world, like you said, what does it translate to? But the other thing is their success real?
Yeah.
Is their success bots? Is their influence
That's
paid
true.
for? Is their success something that they harvested 10,000 mysterious people in 24 hours? They got 10,000 subscribers. If you were on Joe Rogan's podcast, I totally see that you got 10,000 subscribers. You're going to go out crazy. That's what he can do for you. But if you don't have those connections and all of a sudden you've got 10,000 people on your YouTube channel in a 24-hour period, that's not necessarily maybe success. It's a false success. And that's the thing too. If you see people successful in the Lamborghini, did they buy it? Did they have the money to rent it? Or did they rent it for 5 minutes and that's all they can handle? Was that truly success? What do they look like when they get out of that car? Do they own the car? There's a difference on that. There's a huge difference, especially watching people in Las Vegas. Do they have the ownership of it? And do you have the mentality? Are you a leader? Is that truly your success? Or did you maybe rent it? And what is that? So there's different levels. There's different leaderships and how do you show up? So let me bring this to you, Lorraine, because let's see here. Here's a good question for Lorraine here. What is this one? habits, because you talk about habits and they compound success, good, healthy habits. But what habits can you compound that would get you there quicker? Are there simple ones that people can walk away with today and say, oh, okay, here's 1 to 3 habits or 1 to 3 things I know I have to get it done? Maybe just getting up in the morning and starting your day and or having to reset your alarm clock. So you used to getting up at that time, but what habits can people just know that they have in their bag ready to go?
So there are 3 habits of thinking in the assessment that are always, when I do an assessment with an entrepreneur, I always see these habits out of balance. And it, they are an entrepreneur tends to resist structure. They tend to resist the rules and regulations that oftentimes need to be in place. They also tend not to respect authority. And basically, all that means is they don't respect a person for a position that they hold. They respect a person for the integrity or what they represent. That respect it we see is just because you've got the position of a CEO doesn't mean that I'm going to respect who you say you are and what you say you do. And the third one is what we call this obsessive thinking of always needing to improve everything. But oftentimes, that obsessive thinking of how can I improve this? How can I do this? Can be a reflection of some self esteem kinds of issues where there's a lot of comparison. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses, or I don't necessarily believe in my worth and worthiness. So I'm going to continually try to do things and improve on them and talk about them because it's through that recognition and that conversation that I feel my worth. And so those are some habits that we see really consistently with high performing and entrepreneurial kind of people. And so it's really about understanding that sometimes you need those standard operating procedures. Sometimes you need that structure in place to keep us moving in the right direction, because otherwise we're always just chasing our tail. And respecting people for who they are and who they represent is a great thing. But sometimes understanding that positional power and positional authority also needs to be respected just because of what they represent and what they can bring to the table for you. And really, to quiet those obsessive thoughts is that goes along with perfection oftentimes, because perfection wants us to do everything right. And so we get ourselves into this mindset of, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this because I want to get it right, or I'm the only one who can get it. To quiet those kinds of things, sometimes we have to encourage people to stop and say, what is it? What need am I trying to fill by always having to improve something, improve on what someone else is doing? Because oftentimes those are also the people that will go back and fix the things that their employees aren't doing well. They become the micromanagers of the world.
They
Those are
do,
some,
they do.
so
Most
those
of
are
them.
some of the habits that I routinely see in entrepreneurs, in CEOs, high level people who are very driven by success.
Yes, yes. Stop with the micromanaging. It doesn't help anybody. Nobody loves that. Nobody will give the respect. But again, really, where you're saying yes, br- bring back the respect of a leader, because they are a leader, because they are your captain, because they are your lieutenant, because they are the president, the vice president. Give them a moment of respect, especially if they're coming out of the office. Or we would have the owner of the Venetian casino would come out and we would respectively stand at attention, and security guards. Well, we had to be there to, of course, be security for him. And it was a bit of a parade, but Vegas is a show as it is. But the point is, at that moment that he's out there, no matter what you believe, show him respect. Because all the people that are watching are like, wow, this is cool. What's going on over here? This is the owner. This is, oh, wow, I get to be in the moment. And we need that. Not that they're a king or a queen, but we need to break, if we can remember that at face value when we're there, even publicly acknowledging and talking to people, that's a leader. They earned a portion of that at some moment, whether it was a degree, they had to go to school, they had to show up, there is some form or fashion of practice that they needed to do to get to that level. It's a lot of times these days, it's not the nepotism. It's not always the son or the daughter. It's corporate structure that has gotten the position. So there is some skin in the game that these people have. And if we bring that back and remember also that as a leader, be kind to people and respect and give that respect to people publicly, acknowledge people that are there, but also have healthy boundaries where you're not a doormat and you're not being nice because you'll lose a position and somebody else will step into that position. And it can be a nightmare with allowing people to do this. And it's healthy to have it. That's why at Hewlett Packard, when I was a kid, my mom was working there. They would have Pizza Fridays or something. Give back and then connect to your employees. There's a time and a place for that. If we bring back that moment of the leadership, we can also bring back some mentorship and people can see that and watch. I want to watch a good leader because I want to see what are their habits? What do they do? What are their mannerisms? So I can mimic that and bring that to my life if that's good enough. So absolutely the habits, that's great. So when you're coming into this and you're realizing that there's these good habits to implement and do as a leader, that what's the next level that consistently people can just maybe just ditch and avoid and say, hey, this doesn't fit, or when to recognize it.
I think that the next level is really all about what you were talking about in terms of the leader connecting and respecting the people, as well as expecting that they're going to be respected for the skin that they have in the game. And that's too often where things break down, especially when you have teams and you have large organizations. It almost becomes a culture that we believe everybody knows what they're supposed to do. And so we don't necessarily communicate in the ways that we need to communicate. So between the breakdowns in relational communication and the breakdown in relationships, that's where you get into trouble with the team disengagement. That's where you get into trouble with employee turnover. That's where you get into trouble with leaders not being able to accomplish their goals because they haven't respected and connected with their team members in such a way that everybody knows they're important and a part of the team.
100%. 100%. We want to be part of the team. We want to share that. And that helps with your clients too. When there's certain things like, hey, this is what we're bringing to the table. Let's be honest about what we're sharing in this coaching or consulting package or a product besides a service. Maybe there's just a product like an AI or something, an app that you're bringing to the table. What are you bringing in there? What's the expectation with this? And what's the expectation with the training? If you lay that all out, when it's time to say, hey, you're not living up to the expectation of this, I'm either going to go get work with someone else or we're just going to let this go. It's okay to say that as a customer. You should know that, hey, this is what's working, this is what's not working. And if you're giving people into that, going into that customer service too, it's you're a strong leader and what are you sharing with your clients so they know what to expect, so they're not getting blindsided. Hey, I got to jump on a call with you because I'm leaving your product. Maybe I don't like your emails or whatever that is or whatever you're using. Maybe you're using some type of constant contact, go high level, MailChimp or whatever the heck is out there. And you're like, hey, it's just not working for me. We need to do a final call. We need to do a debrief and a lead call. Do you, or at what time are people trying to keep you and hold you tight? And it's not a healthy way. It's not a good thing for a leader. Look, hey, can I fix this? Maybe if we jump on a call, is there something that I can do to fix this for you? Is there something that I overlooked? Is there something that I missed? How can I help you with this? Or, hey, sorry to see you go. I'm sorry it didn't work out for you. Maybe it's not a product. And to see as a leader, maybe you sold them something they didn't need. That's another thing to look at. Hey, maybe it's a good choice to say, no, I shouldn't take this client on either. That's another thing in Holly. So, Holly, here's a question for you. Let me bring you up here. What mistake or when you were out there CEO Holly, and you've got that hat on, when you reflect back, maybe from the year, maybe years ago, is there a mistake that taught you and you went, man, I was maybe living it up, or I thought I was doing this whole right thing and it went, well, I need to stop doing that. Or I need to maybe change my business. And sometimes that can be a part of growth, right? You're just like, hey, this just isn't working. And maybe looked at it as a mistake. So what's something that taught you like, hey, this isn't going to work in my business?
I think early on, this is a great question. Early on, it was not listening to the client, but trying to force what I thought they wanted. And there was a clash because they weren't hearing me. And obviously I wasn't hearing them, but we were trying to get to the same place. It was a big learning experience that in the beginning, because I'm like, oh, people are hiring me, but because I know what I'm doing. And when I'm gonna put on my client, I don't know what the word is, but I'm gonna push my what I think they need without listening to them. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's all about asking those questions. And I didn't know what questions to ask in the beginning. I was just, you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to do this. And they're like, whoa, what the heck is going on? It's like it's respecting people. And in the beginning, I think I was so insecure that you're throwing yourself into the CEO and you're trying to do everything. And there are insecurities that come out. And that was one, because I thought because they're hiring me, I have to put on them everything. And then it was overwhelming. One thing was, I'm like, you gotta do this. And it was like a long list like this. And it was going to take probably 6 months, 8 months, but it was overwhelming. And they were like, whoa, no, and they're out. But it's about having conversations with them and coming up with clear questions, no, clear, clear things that you're going to do for them, and not overwhelm them because they're overwhelmed and they're hiring you because they're overwhelmed. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, because you can absolutely get overwhelmed and you want to clarify. And I think it's stepping back to constantly look at, are you clarifying correctly? Are you looking at, gives us a sense to detach from where we were and to step back and maybe Monday morning armchair quarterback that and go, oh, was that a good thing or a bad thing? Lorraine, you want to interject? You got something to say? Come on up here.
I do. I think that is very classic. I think that from my standpoint, one of the ways that I had this aha moment early in my career, I was an instructor, a nursing instructor. I also tend to be a very direct communicator.
Mhm.
So if it's a spade, I'm going to call it a spade. What I didn't realize early in my career is not everybody wants to hear that it's a spade. So I had a student tell me that I was intimidating. Now,
Mhm.
the last thing I wanted to be was intimidating. So I had to do some soul searching. And some of that was coming from the insecurity of not necessarily knowing
Mhm.
exactly what I was supposed to be doing in that particular moment. And some of it was just my very direct communication. So I had to learn before I responded to things, how to take a step back and to really think about what is this person saying to me? What is this person asking me before I just jumped into the answer? Because I- truly, it was one of those moments when I had the student say, "You're intimidating." I'm like, I'm really one of the biggest marshmallows you're going to find. But that was part of my wall of resistance and part of my wall of protection. So it just, those are some of the lessons that I had to learn was soften your communication and really understand what the problem is.
Yeah, absolute communication with yourself.
Can I talk to that real quick? Lorraine, do you? So I'm doing a lot of work on neuroscience and how people respond and what you need to say. And I know you and I are in a group and we're learning that you have to learn to talk to people where they're at and who they are because they're not necessarily an A personality. You've got to, what's the word, Lorraine, assimilate and figure out quickly how to talk to them. Do you, and
And
when
my
right.
strategy in doing that is a lot of times I literally will pause the conversation because I'm giving myself time to think about how I can say this without it being offensive, without it being too direct, without it being, again, some of those nurturing kind of personalities. When can I just give you an example of a
Yeah,
time
go
that,
ahead.
so again, I was still working in healthcare, and at lunchtime, I and a friend would go for a walk. There was a park across the street from the hospital. So we're walking along, and we get stopped by a lady who's driving, and she says, "Can you tell me where the hospital is?" Literally, it's at the T of the street. And so I just said, "Do you see that red brick building there?" She said, "Yes." I said, "That's the hospital." So I didn't think anything about it. I was just giving her the facts. But the person that I'm walking with says, "Bam, you just told her she's stupid because she couldn't see the red brick building." That wasn't at all what I was trying to say. But again, it was one of those times when I was dealing with someone who tended to be a little more nurturing in their conversation. And so I stop and think about how is this person communicating with me and try to match their style.
That way you're actually speaking in their love language, right? You're
Yeah.
meeting their style, you're speaking in their love language, and what are you doing? Hey, that's the growth of that. Let's go, Jeff, for you having here's a good one. Let me pick a question. There's a question I'm looking for the question. I know I just saw it right here. Well,
Boy, she's put me on the spot.
of course I am. That's what this is about. If I can get God.
But you handle it well, so that's okay.
Thanks, Colleen.
You're ready to step up to that leadership role. I'm just saying,
There
by
you
the way,
go.
if you were doubting that, here you are. When you're stepping up to your leadership role and you're leveling up, there's a time when certainty isn't available because you don't know or you haven't done or you're deciding to pull the trigger for the first time. What do you do with those moments when that certainty isn't available? And how do you step up to lead and go, oh gosh, are you going to close your eyes, put your hands over your eyes and go, okay, I'm going to take the lead? Or do you go in head on and say, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for this. I'm going to take this on and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I learned this back in between 2018 and 2019 because I was a very high stressed individual, especially with corporate America. It was always stressful, hostile work environment. And I worked for CVS Pharmacy and it was toxic. It was just ridiculous. So what I've learned over the years is rather than being stressed out, what I do is I take a step back and I look at the situation and I evaluate it. And it's okay. Number one, why am I being stressed out from this? What am I supposed to learn from it? what can I take away from it that will get me to the next step or the next level? And what can I learn from this that I can share with other people along the way? And this really came to a revelation. Number one is when I came off all those meds, it reduced my stress, anxiety, and depression that was at a 10 plus for decades down to a level 1. But what really sealed the deal for me is I went home for a holiday Christmas time. And I walked into the kitchen and my twin brother was there. And take what I got stressed out and multiply by 10. That was him. And he just did this outburst. And I just like, whoa. And all I could think about was, oh my gosh, that was like me. And I haven't done that in a year and a half. It really painted the picture for me of what I was to where I am. So rather than getting stressed out, we all get stressed out, but I don't get stressed out as much as I used to. Okay, stress is here. Boom, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And then once you evaluate that, then you make those choices and then move forward. So that's what's helped me in many ways, from personal as well as professional.
Absolutely, absolutely. What is it that, and wow, what a mirror to have a twin and you go, wait a second, okay. This could be me, this is me, or how is this going, to reassess that and to reevaluate,
Yeah.
and to say, wow, and there's two of you, right? How cool is that?
We won't go there. But no, seriously, what I really learned is that I reflected over the years that I was in corporate America and how I stressed out so easily from the pressure. I mean, you're managing 13 projects and managing teams of people in India and in the United States. And then you got the demands from your manager and then from the VPs, blah, 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 blah. But I wish I had learned that much earlier in my career, because it would have been very different. But since August of 2019, I've been pretty level key, I would say 98% of the time versus the other end of the spectrum. So it's been really eye-opening and a pleasure to be able to take that and move forward with it and grow from it.
Absolutely. And it's that growth, and it's also the ability to say, hey, I've got my system in place and I can step away. There's that time, and that's where those good, healthy habits come in when you're changing your life. So, what
Right.
would you say at this point? What do you feel for a tip for other people to say, what belief should people or other people, or belief that you stopped or dropped that helped you scale with confidence?
I would say that for people who are very high strung, high stressed out, is that there is hope you can change that. And it's all about mindset. And we have, as human beings, have developed bad habits. And what is it going to take to get out of those bad habits? And so the advice would be is to take a deep breath and try to avoid that stress and evaluate it, and try that a couple of times. And you'd be surprised how that will dramatically impact oh my gosh, the cortisol levels in your system. It's amazing. I'll tell you, it's really amazing.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does change everything when you make the decision to pivot in those moments and say, all right, now I can see. And as a leader, we take data and analytics all the time. We look at what's happening in our business. Are we doing that with ourselves? That's just even noticing how much money you're earning in your business and what products you're selling and what service you're delivering. And is that worth the time and the money? You're reassessing that, but we don't always reassess our lives. We don't always put that forward and say, hey, this is what needs to happen. We need to move and pivot. And that's looking back at that, or taking even that time, a day a week or something, and reassess that. What's your intention and what have you been doing? You can do that when you're journaling early in the morning or late at night.
Yeah.
So
It's all about that integration. As I mentioned earlier, it's integrating personal and business and making them work synergistically together.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. So Colleen, so let me see here. Let me bring up this question here. This is probably a good one for you. What's the real cost of indecision? What does it cost people, whether you're running a brick and mortar or you're online? Indecision can cost a lot, can it?
Yeah, the biggest thing that it costs you, the most important thing that it costs you is your peace. Because you can't really put a price tag on that. That's the biggest thing besides the time, and then I'll just go back with what Jeffrey was saying is all the health issues that go with that. Is it worth that? And then put it in a little bit even clearer perspective is that the indecision is a decision. And so make a decision, make one that you can confidently stand behind and feel good about however it goes. So that's the biggest cost is really your peace and just realizing and understanding that if somebody invites you to something and you don't respond, well, then you've responded, right? That's it. You've decided you're not going. And you just have to look at your decisions and weigh out and make the best one. Even when you're like, there's just not a lot of good either way. Make the best decision, whether it's best to protect your time or best to participate, whatever that looks like, make it and be confident in it. You save yourself the headache, the heartache, the physical stress on your body from the anxiety and overwhelm of thinking about it, of replaying it, of just reprocessing it over and over. Just be done with it and move on.
Absolutely. So when you're doing that and it's time to move on to look at that, what metric do you measure that tells you, hey, I'm actually winning? It's not time to drop out or to feel like I'm failing.
Yeah, and that's a great question because I feel like the biggest metric is it moving you towards your goal? That's the biggest metric. Is it moving you towards your goal? And so let's say that, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. Let's say that we went out partying one night and then the next day we wake over and we've got the hangover and the anxiety over because now we're behind and it takes us 2 days to catch up. Was it worth it? Is that action moving you towards your goal? Because sometimes you have to say no to things that are fun in order to actually reach your goal. And so you should always be looking at your goal. Is that going to get you towards your goal? And so that's why when I tell people, like, people are like, oh, but in my business and then in my life. No, it's like in my life and business. Because it has to be where it's the balance throughout, right? And so clearly you're not always going to stay in, but you're going to make decisions that are a little bit more responsible that don't have adverse effects on your business, right? And so maybe during the week, that means staying in and studying more or staying in and even just relaxing and getting organized for the next day. And maybe on the weekend when you can have time to recover, go do those things or however that looks in your business, right? But just making those decisions. Yeah, we all want to be thin, but do you really want to be thin? Yeah. Or do you really want the cake? Pick.
Yeah.
Because you can't do both and your actions need to be moving you towards your goal.
That's taking ownership of your actions, right? Are you truly taking ownership of your actions and letting yourself know, hey, that's okay. I want to have cake on Friday. I want a cheat day. I'm okay with that. But accepting that. Hey, I want the full cake. I accept that. Hey, if I go out and make this decision, I might need to do this, or if I go out and do that. It's that cause and effect. And are you measuring those? Even in a split second, hey, that sounds like fun. Let's unpack it. What's a pro? What's a con? And to put that down, even if you have to put that on paper and say, hey, what is that? How am I measuring this and having the metrics on it at all times? Doesn't mean you need to take 12 hours and say, well,
Exactly. And I think then also having a way, being prepared in advance to say no. I told my mom one time when my kids were little, I literally had 2 kids I had a 10-month-old and a newborn and a 6-year-old. And somebody wanted me to make dinner for somebody in need. And I was like, Mom, I just can't say no. And she's going to say what you can do because it's completely ridiculous to think you can make dinner. So call them and say, I'll order a pizza and have it delivered. Or start out with, that doesn't work for me, but this is what I can do. That doesn't work for me where I am right now in my life and my goals, but this is what I can do. It doesn't work for me to go hang out with you on Tuesday night, but I'd love to meet up with you on Saturday morning for a coffee. But just being prepared going into the decision-making process to, number one, make sure that whatever decision you make is moving you towards your goals for your entire life, including your business. including the relationships and moments you can't get back. And then also being prepared to say no in a way that feels good to you, feels positive, and opens doors to still building a relationship.
True. What can you say yes to? That's great. So that is absolutely a different way to spin off of it, of not only boundaries and what do you have to say no to and what's non-negotiable, and what can you say yes to. So let me bring you up here, Lorraine, because this next question, what's one move that creates momentum fast? What is something that hey, that's a leader, that's a boss move. That was the greatest thing. What's something that you maybe tell your clients that, hey, if you do this one thing, you're gonna move faster and you're gonna build stronger and better.
Probably what I focus on the most is always the relationship. If they build the relationships, if they listen to the people, whether it be their customers or their employees, it's going to move them so much faster, because if you listen to understand, you're not wasting the time that often happens when I have my agenda, they have their agenda, and we may be saying the same thing, but we're talking against each other. And so it really is that. It really is sometimes just quieting my mind and stepping into the other person's world to try to understand what it is that they need. And because that's the way to really move forward, that people want to be seen and people want to be heard. And while we all have different kinds of businesses, whether you're doing a service or whether you're doing a product, you're still dealing with people, and the people have to be the most important thing.
Absolutely. So that brings me to that follow up there is, how do you turn that pressure into that moment when you said, hey, I'm ready to move and I'm ready to make a decision. I'm ready to be the boss. How do you turn that pressure into precision to say, hey, I know I got this. I've got the confidence to do that.
I think it goes back to the structure. It goes back to understanding what are the key things that I have to accomplish and who's it going to take to help me bring with me to get them accomplished. So it's the people, it's the structure, and it's understanding what is the work that needs to be done, which again loops me back to the person, because as someone who's providing a service, it's always about the needs of the customer.
100%. And your best customer should be you, right? Would you do it? Are you going to follow through with it? Is it going to work for you? Is this going to work? Are you going to be able to commit to it? So are you doing, hey, I would never ask you to do something I'm not going to do myself. And I had to tell a lot of people when I was an area supervisor, I told a lot of people, hey, this is something I have to ask you. It's obviously something I would do, I've done, or I have to do. You're welcome to do it. I'll even give you a ride home. I'll buy you a Happy Meal. I'll supersize it. I would buy people food. What would I do? Hey, let me give you that added value to do that, to make the decision. And that's where the coaching and consulting is so wonderful, because you're helping people not only find and recognize their leadership and their confidence, but you're also saying, hey, maybe if you set yourself up for success, hey, you got a long summit, what glass of water? You know, you're going to be talking. Do you have some tea? Do you have some honey? Are you setting yourself up for success so you can make those decisions and not freak out about it? It's stepping into that. And I'll say, with all the crazy stuff, I'm still here. We're still here. We're here in this moment. There was some wrong links. There were some emails that went out. So redoing that and saying, hey, I could do my best, but here's what I have as a secondary. And how am I going to show up if I do make the decision and it's not working and it's not moving the needle? What can I do to fix that problem and bring light to that, to say, hey, I'm a leader. I made a mistake. I take full accountability. I'll go cry in my pillow after this, not on the recording, but say it, right? Give yourself the grace when you need to do that, but
I
step into your leadership.
I think also sometimes it's setting the boundaries. And I'll go back to my time as a chief nurse. It was not uncommon. If I knew that a department was particularly busy, it was not uncommon for me to go in and say, "What can I do to help you?" Now, the boundary of that was, I'm not the one who can take care of the patient. You need to do that. But what errands do I need to run for you? Do I need to go get you lunch? What do you need that I can do for you? And I think that's true even with our customers now. This is what I can do for you. And are you willing to meet me at the point of that boundary of this is what I can do? And if not, then we need to not continue the relationship because, again, it goes back to some of what Colleen talked about earlier in terms of this is what I've hired you to do, but this is what I can do to support you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that's I think, a great wrap up in this moment.